about 35 cows.
Now, how did you finance that?
And we financed it ourselves. We had a little bit money left over from our house that we sold in
Los Gatos.
And we had about $3,000 saved. And we went out there and put a down payment on that herd that was there.
The herd was on the property.
The herd was on the property, and we rented the property.
Now, the herd was how big?
About 35 cows.
You had 35 cows, and so you bought the cows and rented the property.
And rented the property, and we were on that property for only a year.
And what?
And that dairy was strictly a grade B dairy.
No, so you were shipping milk without a contract, essentially.
Right. And we were shipping milk to Salinas, to Pet Milk Company. After we sold our herd in Cohansey and Gilroy, we moved to San Jose, and Joey and Angie had a trailer. Joey and Angie Soto had a trailer in their backyard. And so Mom and I and the three kids, we moved into that trailer. And we knew that we wanted to go back in the dairy business. So we went out to look for some property in the San Martin area so we could, maybe in the San Martin, Morgan Hill, or Gilroy area, where we could find a property to start another dairy.
Right.
And that's when we were able to lease that place.
On Middle Avenue.
On Middle. The fellow that we leased the place from his name was Frank Strait, and I had known him from school in San Jose High. And we made an agreement with him that when we leased the place that he would build a grade A barn, and I would help him
build it.
But he would supply the.
Now, the only thing on the property at the time, there was a tank house.
And the
house.
That's all.
Now, what about the
little barn?
The little barn. Hi, Pop. We're at the old home place. This is Loretta's son, Jeff. He owns the place now, and they're going to milk cows here at 4:30. Yeah. I think we're going to walk around the ranch and take a few scenes of the old place, and probably be here while the cows come in. And so you get we can watch the old barn in action. I think we had a door right here. So our cows came in here and went out that way. This whole part of the corral, the bloop was put in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's the pump pump. Take a look at this. This hasn't changed a whole lot since we built this before. How many stalls I got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 stalls. But it's still bent over milking. This is where I learned to sing, right here. Listen to this. where I learned to sing. Every day when my brother would go out, bring in the cows, I'd be putting the rig together, putting all the milking machines together. My brother would come in and scare me. So in order to keep myself from getting too scared all the time, I sang here every day. This is where I learned, such as it is. This is like the same one as when I was here. Of course, it's all much smaller than it was when I lived here before.
That's because you were littler then.
Yeah, it's much smaller. It's all shrunk down. It's down here. It's amazing this is still in operation. Well, they've got a cold wall tank in here. It looks like that. This apparently look at this. This records the temperature of the milk coming in to the tank. Amazing. Very crazy. It's locked. Make sure that the guy comes in and makes that. And they have to keep the records of the milk temperature. Amazing. Yeah, they extended the barn out here a little ways past where it was originally, I think. Although there was a little shed in here. There was a little shed where he kept feed in here. A couple sacks of feed. Pretty fun, huh? Are you having any fun? How are we doing with time on that thing? Let's walk out this way.
The first cows I bought was from a small dairyman that had a herd of cows up in Gilroy by the name of Bill Seamus.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a herd of cows that was a real nice herd of cows.
Mm-hmm.
And he had about 30 cows, and we bought those 30 cows from him.
Mm-hmm.
And moved them into the Middle Avenue place, and we milked in that little barn,
Mm-hmm.
those 30 cows, before we were able to milk in the new barn that we were building. Mom had her old catalog, and she used to keep files on all these cows, and every cow had a name, every
Mhm.
cow had a price on it, what we paid for it,
Uh-huh.
so she could cook the
books.
and-
Cook the books. I heard you say that.
No, cook the books. Mom, that's one thing.
See,
Mom,
here
would
we go.
not-
It's CBS. 60 Minutes is going to be getting this tape after all.
That is one thing your mother would never do, is cook the books.
Cook the books.
She did a terrific job of bookkeeping, and we had our herd book, and every cow was in the files and everything. And so when we'd sell that cow to the butcher, we'd put the sale price to it, whether it was
Capital gains or
was always, when we sold it to the butcher, was always a loss, because
Yeah.
the butcher price was a lot lower than the milk cow.
the milk cow price.
Yeah, and then if a cow died, it was entered in a file, and we had a complete file like that until.
Can you remember? Can you close your eyes and look at the test book and think of some of the cows' names on there?
Oh, yeah.
Because I remember that there was a testing book that came out.
We had old 95, we had 76.
Those are numbers.
Yeah, well, that's that herd that we bought from Bill Seamus, he had all his cows numbered,
Oh, I see.
and some of the names we
Kept.
kept.
That's what they came to.
Yeah, then as we bought cows and raised heifers, we put names on all of them.
Uh-huh.
We leased that place until about 1953,
Mm-hmm.
and Mr. Straight felt like he couldn't continue the building that he was supposed to build on that place. And so he put it on the market for sale.
Now, you had a lease contract with him that said that you could stay on the property for, you had a 10-year
10
lease?
years, yes. It so happened that a friend of ours happened to come out there one day, unknown that we were there, and he was looking for property out there for an investment, and he was surprised to see us there, and so he offered the place to us. He says, why don't you buy it? And I says, well, I would like to buy it, but I don't have the money.
Yeah.
And so he says, well, if you wanted it, I'll finance it for you.
Yeah.
His name was Nels Lund.
Now, Nels Lund had financed your house in Los Gatos.
Nels Lund had financed our first house that we bought in Los Gatos.
Uh-huh.
This Nels Lund was always happened to be a benefactor of ours because he came over from the San Joaquin Valley. He was a
It was like your Mrs. Haversham, huh?
yes, and he financed our house in Los Gatos. That house was located at Brickway Court in Los Gatos.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's still standing today. We bought that place in '53 from, with Mr. Lund financed it. And then we put the hay barn on it,
Now,
and we put the storm shed.
when you say we put that on there, did you accrue?
We did it. We built it.
We, you're saying who's we? Who was out there?
Me and whoever would help me. Mal Pimentel come over and helped us, and we had a community. There, people that would help. Frank Pacheco was building his barn, and we helped him build his barn, and his hay barn. And Mal Pimentel was building his, and so we all shared each other's help, you know.
I see. Hay barn is what, 20 feet high at the peak?
Yeah, it was all of that. I remember.
It's 20 feet high at the pole, wasn't it?
Yeah.
At the what do they call it, the gutter? At the,
Yeah. And I remember putting the last sheet of roof on that barn, and I nailed the sheeting up on there, and I was up there on top of the barn with
No way to get off.
no way to get off. So I looked, I said, no, I nailed the last sheet down. How am I gonna get off of this barn? So I gradually worked my way down to the end of it.
Kind of slippery.
Yeah, and got off of the barn. I didn't fall off, so I must have got off somehow. I didn't have a sight on it, so.
So you were the last guy, you were there alone putting the last sheeting on that thing.
Yeah.
So what was the mechanics of putting up those poles? Those poles are 20 feet. Those are big redwood, what were they?
Well, we got just the regular, the regular bottom to them,
The pier.
the piers, yeah, and then
Wasn't there a concrete base around that thing?
No, I don't think we had it. Yeah, maybe we did. I think we put a
footing.
foundation all around that, and we put it up, and then we put the studs into the concrete, and then we put angle iron L pieces on
Right, to hold the big.
timbers up. Yeah.
So you guys would raise the big timber by brute force of 4 guys pushing it up?
Probably Lonnie picked it up by himself.
Checked. So the timbers went up first, all the way around, and how did you secured them by putting a rail around it?
Yeah, we put the regular.
I mean, what was the way?
Cross braced them and put angle braces on it, and then we put the rafters up.
Right. So you ran the rails along the edge of the perimeter of the barn.
It was quite a feat to build that barn.
Used to be an orchard over here, of course. We were running cattle in here now. there used to be an open pit well right here, and we used to drop rocks, and they would just drop down. They would hear them at the bottom. And it was covered over with planks. And of course, we were always told to stay off it because we might cave it in and drop 50 feet or whatever it was to get down to the bottom of that pit. And right next to it was this concrete thing. Amazingly enough, we used to throw all the old oil cans that we used to change oil with into this concrete thing here. It was filled up with oil cans at one time. I don't know what this whole thing is. And look in there.
Oh my gosh.
Huh?
There's the oil cans.
Look at that.
You get close and you'll get a good exposure in there.
I'm getting good exposure.
Those are the oil cans you guys threw in there.
Yeah. Drive all cozy with the heater on. Yeah. Look at this. Super fun. A super fun waste site right there. Pretty amazing. Oh, the skyline over in this direction is sure different than it used to be, right? Well, here's the old house.
Yes, I thought
Yeah.
it was quite an experience to see that
That was back in
the old
operation.
residence again and
Yeah.
part of the old ranch that we actually built ourselves.
Yeah. It's still
And the-
functioning.
Huh?
Still functioning.
It's still functioning, yeah, and part of our barn is still there, and some of the buildings that we built ourselves by hand are still there.
Right.
And the house, the old house is pretty much intact.
Yeah.
And some of the things that Mom did a lot around that place, they're all gone, though, the
Yeah.
trees and the shrubs and stuff that she planted.
Yeah.
And, but we had, when we moved to that ranch, we had 3 children. We
That was Glenn.
We had Bernie, Dale, and Glenn.
Right.
And Bernie was about 2 years old when we moved to that ranch, and Chris was born there. Chris was the first of one of our children that were born on that ranch in 1950.
Right. And so all the children were born on the ranch except for Faith.
Yes, well, Faith was started there.
Yeah.
And well,
Pretty close to finish there.
yeah. Her first home was on Watsonville Road because she was in the hospital until January of '61.
Right. What right-hair guy's that?
One looking this way, smiling. There you go.
Well,
Zoom in on his face. He knows you like that.
Doesn't look familiar?
I can't tell from here.
Zoom in. Use the zoom in.
I got the zoom on.
Doesn't look familiar?
He knows you.
Maybe not. He knows the family.
What's his name?
Robert Wood.
Yeah, he probably knows the
Oh,
family.
you don't know?
What age is he?
Old?
He'd be my brother's age, I think.
Yeah. What's your brother name? Glenn?
Glenn?
Yeah, that's what.
That's what I thought, yeah.
You went to school with Glenn?
And Loretta and Luella, of course. Yeah. You went to San Martin?
You bet, for umpteen years. My
Yeah.
brother
When
went
did you
there.
graduate?
1960.
1960. Yep.
man,
Same age as
you
my brother
are
Glenn.
old.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are
so,
old.
yeah, I killed your old man's dog right out here too. This son of
Hey, my old man's dog.
yeah.
Distant music fills my heart, jungle dreams confused. Light a candle in this dark, my humble eyes to use. If you hear me, helpless in this lonely night, free me finally from these chains tonight. Free my hands tonight. Play my song tonight. I can feel you move me gently to the light. Take me finally in your arms tonight. Guide my hands tonight. Guide me to the light. Take me swiftly to the place where all those dreams come true. I will find the strength to fly across the heavens blue. Guide my hands tonight. Guide my hands. Guide my hands. Guide my hands tonight. Guide my hands tonight. Guide me to the light. I will find the strength to fly across those heavens blue. Guide my hands tonight. Guide me to the light. Now I finally spread my wings. My fingers fly across these clean. I have never played my song with hands as free as these. Guide my hands tonight. Guide me to the light. Guide my hands, free my hands. Guide my hands tonight.
And so this Mr. Lund, like I say, he was a benefactor of ours, and he was really sent by the good Lord to watch us, I guess, because he really took care of us anytime, we needed some help, he would help us. And but the interesting part about Nels at a later date, all the years after we were in Lodi, about 5 or 6 years already, when probably in the 70s when we were in Lodi, Frank Hopkins had died and was buried in Santa Cruz, and Van Hopkins, his mother, had moved up to Hoopa, and she died in the middle 70s, and she was buried up in Santa Cruz, right next to her husband Frank, which was Van Hopkins' dad. And so we went to the services up in Santa Cruz, and I knew that the Lunds had moved to Santa Cruz. And we kind of lost track of them. And we were going up Highway 17, going over to Santa Cruz to the services. We said, I wonder what happened to the Lunds. They moved to Santa Cruz, and we never heard from them anymore. And so we went to the funeral services, and we gathered around the burial plot there, and Mom and I were standing right next to the burial plot of the Hopkins, and all of a sudden I looked down, and I says, Mom, look whose grave we're standing on.
Yeah.
Mr. and Mrs. Nels Lund. And what a
What a coincidence.